Well, good evening, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you to our weekly team call, the Mission Possible Call. I am Sharon Rankin. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, I know that we've got tons of people joining in. I am a 35-year veteran with the Juice Plus company. And long story short, I used to be a broke stay-at-home mom. Now I consider myself a rich gadabout grandmother, but that gadabout part's really been curtailed most recently, but we are being blessed with our business and our community now more than ever. And tonight we have a special speaker, and I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. But each week, I just want to remind you that when we come together, it is to remind us of our mission, which is inspiring healthy living around the world. And we're doing that. I mean, this team is on fire. There is no question about it. And our mission for our team is that we are a growing team of inspired individuals, ambassadors for change, dedicated to creating a healthier, more prosperous life for as many as possible now and for future generations. And I just want to give a shout out that you all blew the doors off in March. I mean, many of you are reporting biggest months, biggest checks ever. And many of you reporting significant increase. So give yourselves a hand. I'm going to put the fire on it. You guys are on fire, and it's just really fun to see what's going on. So we're excited, and I've said to somebody, if April's half as good as March was, we're going to be in for a really great momentum ride. So let's just keep the conversations and the connections going. And I just want to give a shout out real quick to our April challenge. As many of you know, we launched the April challenge last week, in that when you posted on our team Facebook page, I think it's a wow, a bam, a phone, or a Shazam, depending on what activity you did, your name would be registered or put in a hat. And to date, as of today, there are 30 people who have posted, and some of you guys are just blowing the doors off of your live. These are live conversations. These are not texting and other things or messenger. These are live conversations, and I'm loving hearing the stories of what you guys are doing. So we're going to take it up a notch this week, and this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Please write this down, and I'll put it out in Voxer, but try to remember this as best you can. We're going to take it up a little notch, and there'll be a separate category for this moving forward. And so you'll need to register this, your business conversations. For every business conversation that you have, put the name of the person and the business conversation. It was a business, just put BIZ conversation with whoever it was. That's going to be in a little bit of a separate drawing, and we're going to have some fun. We got a lot of money that we're going to give away here on our May Day celebration party. So, and then we're planning for our April, for the Juice Plus Live. Stay tuned for all of that that's coming up, Juice Plus Live. We're going to do some big fun parties around that. So just we'll look forward to hearing more about that. So let me transition over to our special speaker tonight, Chris Cotton. Chris is one of those fun people that you meet and you never forget. You just never forget. He's full of stories, that's for sure. But if you don't know Chris and Nikki Cotton have been with the Juice Plus company for 30 years. They are veterans of this business. They started before we had Juice Plus, and so they've got stories to tell too. And he has a great business story. Chris is one of those, and they in their business story really is kind of like my story, I believe. Although I was visibly rags to riches, they were living it looked like the American dream when everything was pulled out from underneath of them, and I know he'll share their story. But last week, Chris shared on the Carrie Daigle call that unprecedented times call for unprecedented action, but we're going to talk tonight about unprecedented times talk for unprecedented courage. And you might want to write that down. Courage is a big thing. And so with that, Chris is known as a professional recreationalologist. Try saying that fast. A professional recreationologist. I don't know that there's any sport that he doesn't do. He's fun. I know that Chris is about personal growth, and Nikki is too. They're national marketing directors. They're 100 club members. If you don't know what that means, they mean they built a significant team, and they're really, and they're just fun. And we've had the privilege of traveling with them, having them here in Nashville when they were traveling on when they were doing their road show in the RV. They came and parked it in our yard, and we just had the best time ever. So I have one word for Chris. I just told him, I said, I've got one word that around that recreationologist thing: fearless. Chris, I would call you absolutely fearless, not only in life, but in your business as well. I don't think you've let anything stop you. So I'm going to put this on speaker view. I'm going to see if I can get Chris. Let me see what I can do. Let me put Chris on speaker view. Let me find him.
I'm here.
I found you, but I just don't know how to put you on speaker view.
When you hit speaker view, if I speak, don't I go?
Yeah, let's try it. So, okay, there you go. Perfect. There you go.
All right.
So
Am I big?
one of the things I wanted Chris to do is just to share, how are you approaching your business right now? What are you doing to take advantage of these unprecedented times? So thanks, Chris, and thanks for being here.
All right. Well, always a pleasure. Thank you for that great introduction. And as you were saying that, I realized, all we ever do when we're together, I mean, we do some training, right? But mostly we just have fun,
Yeah.
which is a good way to look at life, right? And I'm going off the cuff here, but I'm remembering that I first met Sharon as one of my first mentors in the business back in 1991. And I didn't realize, I had no idea who she was or her history, the first lady of the Juice Plus company. But I thought, wow, what a pretty lady to be teaching us this. I was taking a lot of notes. So anyway, a lot of good times. And as we've entered our 8th decade on the planet, right? That sounds like a lot. So I've been adopting that insurance guy, the insurance salesman from TV ad. He said, we know a few things because we've seen a few things, right? And one of my neighbors in Ashland, Oregon, we attract a lot of cool people up there. There's a lady named Jean Houston. Maybe some of you have heard of her. She was first renowned for running what she called the Mystery School in New York in the 60s. But she says, those of us that have more length in life have access to more depth. So those are just a couple of precursors so that I get your attention that maybe I have some things to share. And I certainly feel I do. Again, I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff, but what's coming to me right now, one of the things I love about having done this for so long and looking forward to a lot more time to do this is because I know this has been the vehicle has been gifted to me to be able to do what I'm here on the planet to do. And I've got some strong clarity on that. And I'll just share it with you. I know that my mission here is to share joy, touch joy and share joy every day at the cellular level. And I learned a long time ago, I do that by being outside and recreating. So it's interesting, before I went to bankruptcy, and I'm gonna share my story real quick in just a second, which ends up in the construction business and bankruptcy, which led me to this great company. But before all that, I pretty much snow skied whenever I wanted to, water skied whenever I wanted to, climbed mountains. I didn't surf at that time, I do now. But my point is, nothing's really changed in the last 40 years, except for now, having built a wealthy lifestyle, they call me a professional recreationologist. But back then, they just called me a ski bum. But it's pretty much the same duty. Anyway, I love it. And I do take it seriously because I am a professional recreationalist, because that's the life I designed. We sat down, Nikki and I, a few years into being with this company, and we realized that finances was not going to be a limiting condition for us, and that we could do anything in life we wanted to do. But the most important thing at that time was to know what we wanted to do. And so we designed this life that we have a cabin on a lake in Oregon. I was first able to move back to my own hometown. bought, not only that, but I bought my mom's house and raised my kids where I was raised. Then we bought a lakefront property because I'm an avid water skier, and Nikki also is in agreement to having lakefront. And then we did a bucket list item was that RV trip we did for 2 years. And a good month of that, we parked it right there on the river with the Rankins. That was great. But that was by design. And in that, we were also on the beach here in Santa Barbara area. And my wife said, do we have to winter in Oregon anymore? That was 2010, and we haven't wintered there since. Now we bought a pretty nice house here in Carpinteria. It's probably the last house we'll buy. And I'll just say this isolation, it's been pretty sweet. And it's probably a good time right now we're going to talk about a lot of positive stuff tonight, and about the opportunity to create shifts in your life that like we've never seen. It's unprecedented. And well, you know what? We're going to go through some unprecedented hard times. And I don't want to diminish that. There could be people even on this call that have lost their jobs, and they're wondering, you know, if you haven't built your business up to that level yet that it's going to sustain you, you're in some troubled times, and we don't mean to diminish that in any way. And at the same time, in this next period and the uncertainty, we don't even know the period we're talking about, do we? The uncertainty is one of the hard things to deal with, but we do know this. If you can approach it inspired, excited to grow, you can either go through this period or you can grow through this period. And if you do the latter, if you put something in play that makes you grow through this, you're going to have unprecedented growth. And you can have unprecedented growth in your business like we all saw in March. Congratulations on what great team effort you guys had, but there's no reason it's going to change. April may be bigger, especially if you apply yourself. So that's my main message tonight. But my short story basically is, I was traveling the world and kind of living a pretty free life. And then I fell in love with this lady, and I decided I had to do something a little more responsible. And so I got a job, and that, for some reason, seemed to be a prerequisite for her. I don't know, but we turned that job actually into a company. She and I bought a franchise, a construction franchise. The franchisor went bankrupt the first 6 months, and we were a little slower than they were. It took us 10 years to dig a hole, but we did, and it was $250,000 in debt. And the one great relevant point of this story today is, you know, our mission is to inspire healthy living around the world, and we think it's a lot better to bring people in inspiration, but coming in from desperation works too. So I was losing the house. I had a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, been an athlete all my life, make it happen, do whatever it takes. And all of a sudden it blindsided me. I just didn't think bankruptcy was in my future. And losing the house, I went from a make it happen kind of person going, what happened? And do whatever it takes I don't know what to do. So what I did do is, when somebody showed me this and it looked like it could be possible, looked like it might be a real deal, I told Nikki about it. She said, oh, it's one of those deals, you go do it. And I said, I knew that wouldn't work. So I investigated thoroughly. And what that looked like, we lived in Reno, Nevada at the time. And so 5 weekends in a row, I quit working my 16-hour days trying to keep things afloat. And I drove around the West Coast to hear people that were already with the company that had done well. And every weekend I heard somebody new talk about, I think most of those guys are $1 million earners, okay? And, but that's not what got me. What happened in those first 5 weekends is I met Jay twice. And the second time I saw him, I called Dickie on the way home, and I said, this is a real deal. This guy has integrity. This guy has vision. We're putting our marbles in this bucket. We went into the bankruptcy process, which is pretty ugly. That I declared on my birthday in 1990, December 7th, a couple of weeks of being in the court. We went out and hid out my mom's house with the 4-year-old and the 1-year-old. I remember doing some snow sledding through Christmas. And we got back to Reno on January 2nd, and we went to work. And we went to work Mach 2 with our hair on fire. And they told us to talk to everybody as fast as you can. And in 90 days, we put some things in place that are still paying us today. So we hit a point during this unprecedented time of a level of gratitude we've never matched before in our lives, because we realized that what we were taught, what we learned, what we practiced, what we taught, and what we mastered was the real thing. And it's put us in this position where in a crisis, a global crisis, and we're financially sound and healthy as anybody on the planet, we feel. So we feel so blessed. You're all blessed. You're here for a reason, right? Nobody got here by accident. And so what are we going to do with the unprecedented times? And what I actually called this, when I did a talk just for my team, I talked about be cause, because you're either going to act from circumstances, or you're going to make the circumstances happen, being in cause. So the main message first in unprecedented times is don't sit around waiting for stuff to happen, make it happen. What do you want to see happen? The interesting thing is, as a human being, our first response is almost always, and just for a slight moment, maybe for some, but worse for others, is victim. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, I lost my job. There's nothing I can do. That's not true. There's always something you can do if you have the courage. So the situation requires that you choose your response. Get good at exercising your choice muscle. My latest sport is stand-up paddle surfing. And speaking of fearless, I just got to throw this out there because Davey's listening. I just got back before this all started. I was surfing in Costa Rica, and I went out in something way over my pay grade, which is much bigger waves than I should have been in. They said 10 to 12. I was just getting comfortable of surfing 6-foot waves. And I thought, you know, if I don't kill myself, I think I can do this. And by the time you're out in 6 foot, you already know how to be a little safer. It makes it harder to catch the wave because you're usually being too safe. But anyway, I just happened to be in the right position to catch the wave of the day. There was about 6 of us out there for 3 hours. And I was just in the right position to catch a 15-footer. That's 3 stories. Okay, and that's what it looks like too. Just before you catch it, you're looking up at a 3-story building and you're going to ride it. So I just had to throw that in there because you know what? I pulled it off. I lived, and I spent a little bit of money to go to Costa Rica for a week. That one ride will be worth it. And all the stories and times I get to tell it. Of course, next year it'll be a 20-footer, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. So once you get past your victimhood and you realize that you're driving the show, a lot of you have heard us, Nikki and I do the training on meals, which stands for, write this down, please. Just write meals down vertically. M is for mindset, E is for energy, A is for activity or action, L is for language, and S is for skills. It's also for stay, but we're going to use it for skills here. That's how you're going to choose your response. What's going to be your mindset through these unprecedented times? What energy are you going to bring to the party? What activity is it going to require for you to create a shift in your life? Because none of us are going to be the same after this unprecedented times. We're not going back to the same. So you can be close to the same if that's the life you want, or you can have this time, because there's some unprecedented opportunities to create a new life and launch it during this time. So your mindset, your energy, activity, what language is going to be required? You know, what comes out of your mouth, creativity. And then what skills do you need? So just some places to focus. Okay, so you're going to get to decide what you're going to do with this period. Now, I'm suggesting you bring more courage, because you know what, you know what to do. It's just sometimes you don't have the courage to do it. Now, I heard a definition for courage, which I really like, but I can't really repeat it on this call. But it's basically to not let anybody see how scared, stuffless you are, okay? Because you're going to be, this does create, there's some awkwardness, right? And there's some fear, but fear and hope never can occupy the same place, okay? Fear and action never occupy the same place. So I think Brene Brown would say it a little bit more eloquently. She would say, courage is the capability to be vulnerable in uncertain times, right? Without knowing the outcome. Actually, courage comes from a Latin word of cor, which is heart, and with the idea of telling your story from your heart. That's courage. So use this time as a wake-up call. Use this time to make that shift. Look where you are in the business right now. And I'm guessing, and I had a little conversation with Sharon earlier, there's a lot of people, because of what's happening to them right now with these unprecedented times, wish they'd have built their business a little stronger. Wish they'd pay a little bit more attention. I know there's some of you that are really happy you've got that $1,000 check or $2,000 regular, residual income every month, $3,000, $4,000. That's fantastic. But I know some of you, thinking, man, if I'd seen this coming, I'd have worked harder. So let's not have that excuse again, right? Let's create it during this time. I'm suggesting that maybe you use a thing that we call mortality motivation. And basically that is, okay, this is my life now. Is this all I'm going to do? Is this what it's going to be from now on? Some people say, well, that's just who I am. Okay, that's fine if that's who you want to stay that person. But if you want a life that amazes you, have the courage to maybe do something extra. It just takes that opening, right? The funny thing about learning how to surf is, for instance, that 15-foot wave, that would have hurt if I'd missed that, if I'd have messed that up, right? You're never going to have that kind of pain in opening your mouth and starting a conversation, but it's going to be awkward. But when you paddle into a wave, once you drop in, it's all excitement. When you open your mouth into sharing a message that's going to change somebody's life, once you start that conversation, you're already going down, let's say, the face of that wave. You're already in your heart changing somebody's life. You're living the mission. And that's called being in the game. I'm going to talk about that in a few seconds. But anyway, if you want to change your life, change your business, let's look at the positive side of this unprecedented time. We have unprecedented time at home. We have unprecedented time with family. We have unprecedented, no travel demands. I mean, I'm loving that. We love that we travel a lot, but for me just to be here, enjoying the house and then going surfing every day, it's fantastic. No live events right now. It's all happening from the house, but it's unprecedented quality time, right? So there's so many things that you have now that you didn't have before, including the excuse of no time. So this is a great time to create a shift. Where can you be in cause? You want to be in cause in your fitness. You want to be in cause in your relationships, quality time. You want more personal development. You want more self-care. Do you want your business to grow, or do you want all the above? I've taken up yoga. I've been saying for 15 years, I should do yoga. I should do yoga because I need to stretch, because I do a lot of repetitive motion and I get tightness. So 15 years of saying I was going to do yoga, the only thing I've stretched out is my mouth. So I'm doing yoga every day now. I'm loving it. I'm seizing the opportunity. Okay, let's talk about your business in general. Here's the good news. There's only one person standing between you and success. Isn't that exciting? Just one person. Now, for some of you, that can be a little bit scary, but most of you, I hope, are celebrating only one person, and you know who it is. It's you. It's you making the decision. It's you. This is your choice. Exercise, remember your choice muscle, to create a miracle of these times. When this first started a month ago, my daughter said, "Dad, this could be a miracle." And I'm starting to see the miracle side of it. I think that's a good advice too. Look at the miracle side of this. Now, here's what it's going to depend on. And I'm gonna start this with, I found this today, Sharon, I wanted to add it. This is from Guy Hendricks, who wrote The Big Leap, and he wrote a follow book, which is a great book, by the way, and then he wrote a follow-up to it called The Joy of Genius, the next step beyond the big leap. And he says, you know, getting off the bench and into the game, he says, the moment you get on the field, you enter a new domain, one that has an entry ticket with the unique paradox of a price. You can only buy in with something that costs nothing, but requires everything. It's commitment, right? And here's what I know from 30 years of doing this. It's not mental commitment that you need, it's heart commitment. It's got to be heartfelt. And here's what I mean. How many, don't raise your hand, have maybe said, I can't believe my distributors aren't doing anything. Or I can't believe my so-and-so made this commitment and then they didn't do it. Well, let's think of you and let's talk about me, because I can talk about me. I know I've gone to conferences and I said, oh man, I'm fired up. This next 6 months, watch me go. And then, you know, luckily that we have conferences every 6 months, because you know, somewhere over there, the energy, what's the word, diffuses, right? I know that some of you have made some commitments and you haven't followed through with them. That's because they're mental commitments. But here's another reason. People that don't follow up on their commitments, what we call them, normal, human. You know, that's the way it is. And here's this kind of a secret, maybe it's new to you, it was new to me. I have a coach. I'm 70 years old, been doing this business for 30 years, and I got a coach, and I love her. And she said, I asked her, what's going on? I mean, this seems like built-in frustration. Well, look at life, right? And she said, the problem is that we all have a default commitment. And the default commitment is probably something you've been telling yourself about yourself for a long time. It's your fallback excuse. When she mentioned it, I knew immediately what mine was. Mine is, and I can remember clear back to high school using it. I don't need this stuff, okay? I don't need this. And I've been using that for a long time. You can get yourself into a position in our business where, you know, your residual income is going to come whether you work or not. And that's really easy to get complacency. I don't need this. I don't need to get new distributors or new customers. How would that work, Sharon, in your business? Right? You still get new distributors and new customers, don't you? 35 years, still getting new customers, new distributors, because she needs to, because she leads by example. And if she doesn't do it, guess what? You guys won't either. So we need to do that. I need to keep growing. If you'd asked me if I had all the money and all the time in the world, and I'm not far from that, what would I do? 2 or 3 years ago, I said, I'd go find the best surf spot on the planet. But I now know I could not do that because I need to keep growing and I need to keep enhancing my leadership skills. So this stuff that slows us down, some people call it baggage. And I'm going to run about 5 minutes late, I think, Sharon. Is that cool?
That's all right. You're good.
Okay. I got too much into some of my side stories already, so I'll go direct. I don't like the word baggage because here's another saying that I do believe. We all need healing. We all need healing. And you know what? I don't want to say it could be our parents, but we all have personal programming. That's what it is. It's not baggage. It's just the way we were brought up. It's the beliefs that we bought into. And here's an interesting thing. There's nobody on this screen or anybody on this planet that has the same personal programming. They're all different. It's just our siblings, our parents, our society, everything influenced our decisions, and we created these default commitments. I don't need this stuff, right? So I'm just going to take 30 seconds. And I want you to I'm hoping you can maybe find your default commitment right now if you don't already know what it is. So I want to maybe take 2 deep breaths. Close your eyes if you want to. Drop into your heart space. And see if you can get a felt sensation. How do you physically, there's something that physically feels. What is that felt sensation? And then what's the message you've repeated to yourself you know is not serving you? Maybe it's, I don't need this. Maybe it's, I don't deserve this. I'm not good enough. I'm not a leader. That's not me. I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough, pretty enough, experienced enough, educated enough. This is the story you made up. If you didn't get it in that little pause, do this exercise. Find out what it is. I got it pretty quick once I thought about it. And it's, I don't need this. And you can change it because you started that story. This is an opportunity at unprecedented times. If you can nail this, and this with a little bit of courage will change your future. Okay. And what the cool thing about that is, what do? We inspire healthy living around the world. If we're motivated, we're inspired, we're going to change a lot of people's future. So it starts with you. Brene Brown would say, you are enough. I would say, you are enough. You are divine. You don't have to fix who you are. You don't have to change who you are. You just have to be who you are. Okay? Be who you are. Have some courage. Bring it to the conversation. The power is recognizing the phrase, so that when you commit with your heart, and I'm going to talk to 5 people. I'm going to talk to 10 people a week, and you get to 6, and you're tracking yourself if you're doing it right, in my opinion. And you say, it's a pretty good week. I'm not really feeling it today. Okay, and then I don't really need this, or I don't really deserve this. Whatever comes up for you, first you just have to be aware of it, recognize it, so you can exercise your choice muscle again. Wait a minute, that's my default commitment. I'm not doing that anymore. Let's go back. And you know what? It's going to come up. You built this up over 20, 30 years, so it's not going to be an immediate fix. But if you can get the phrase, you will recognize it when it comes up, and you can make the better choices. Okay, last couple of quick things. The conversation. You know, my definition of residual income is that you have the capacity to be paid for the rest of your life on your next conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not all of us are here about the money. All of us are here with a combination, money and making a difference, right? The mission, impacting. So say it this way: you have the ability to change 1,000 lives with your next conversation, right? Cool thing is your check just reveals how many families you're touching on a daily basis. So it doesn't matter what the main push is, but it all comes down to the conversation. So when I'm saying courage and I'm connecting to your business, it's going to be conversation, conversation, conversation. And by the way, people are open for conversations right now. That's part of the reason we're seeing the uptick in the level of business. Mm-hmm. So my analogy, when I went out and started surfing, first of all, I started stand-up paddle surfing at the age of 65. And the learning curve was horrible. And I did all the things I teach people not to do. I compared myself to others. I got frustrated. I got mad. I mean, it was fun to watch for me, chuckle at myself, get so frustrated sitting on my board, not being able to catch a wave. The Santa Barbara Mountains here and the ocean with dolphins playing it over here. And like, yeah, it's not that bad. So here's the thing. Malcolm Gladwell said, 10,000 hours you can create, you can master anything. Well, I don't have 10,000 hours left to be on the ocean, but I'm going to catch 10,000 waves. And I'm already a lot better than I used to be. And I'm the one person I can tell you this: I go surfing out there more than anybody else. I get more time on the ocean. You get more time in a conversation, same thing's going to happen. Go for 10,000 conversations, you will be wealthy. Okay. And so last thing, here's where I suggest your conversations are, where you take them. If you want to have an agenda, which is okay, a little bit of an intention is good, make your agenda connection to people. This is going to be another miracle of these unprecedented times. People our planet was suffering from separation when we all should be together. And now they're forcing isolation. which is people are craving connection. They're always craving connection, but now even more so. So do that with people. Yes, you can call them because you have an important message, but first just start the conversation. Connect with yourself first. Yourself being, why am I doing this call? Because it's the right thing to do. Because I'm a good person, I'm following my heart. And it scares the hell out of me, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm scared stuffless, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And you make that call, you come from your heart, and when you're authentically in your heart, that person on the other end of the telephone line is gonna be authentic also. You have just given them permission. And if the only thing that comes from that call is that you realize that they just need to be heard or they need to be seen. And you know what, maybe this is not the time to talk about Juice Plus. Now, we talk about 4 doors that we bring up Juice Plus or the business. The the health door first, right? The product, the health. The financial door, people are hurting for money now. If it comes up in your conversation, you can offer a solution. Sharon had a story, she offered it on the spot today, right? Because she's a pro. But, you know, she saw it and she offered it. Third is the community. Some of you are in this business because you love the community. And it's an incredible culture. I think it's unmatched on the planet. There's nothing wrong with that. So there's people that need that kind of community. And some people love the personal development. You know, we are a personal development program, cleverly disguised as a business. So if it's not one of those 4 doors, it just needs, they need to be heard. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can come back around to the other conversations later. But it's all about connection, especially now. I'm going to end it with sharing that all limits are self-imposed, right? We live in a limitless universe. This unprecedented time, you can start the ball rolling to unprecedented wealth. So change your commitment, change your awareness. Let's change the world. Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Chris. Oh, I mean, I've taken 2 pages of notes. I don't know about anybody else, but I like that you can work from inspiration or desperation. Either way,
Yeah.
we have something for everybody. And you can go through this period or you can grow through this period. Really powerful. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to be hearing from my team some highlights and takeaways that I can share with you. So I'm going to put this back on gallery view so everybody can give you a wave. And Chris is on the bottom of my screen. I think we've got 50 some people on this call tonight, which is fabulous. Thank you guys for joining. I know you're glad that you joined. And so just give Chris a wave. If you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to unmute everybody. You can shout out, whatever you want to do.
All right.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
blessings.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great.
Wisdom and growth.
Excellent.
Come say hi to me at the next conference.
Definitely.
Indianapolis. We'll see you there.
Yes.
Indy. All right. Love you.
Guys.
Thanks,
Everybody
Sharon.
have a super week. Let's go out and shine the light. Let's just make it an excellent week. And business conversations, register those. I have to tell you, I did one on the street today. Met a girl for the first time. She's on unemployment for $250. She said, I'll never get through that. So I go like, I got something for you. That's courage. That's fearless courage, right, Chris?
That's courage.
So yeah, you don't know me, I don't know you, but we need to know each other. That's how I started that.
That's right. Who are we going to invite? All right.
All right. You guys have a super week. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Again.